Hi, everybody. Welcome to our segment in Strength in Community. We are half of the hosts of PanGeekery, myself, Jennifer Zhang, and Earl Balon here.
What's
and
up?
Hello, that's Earl right there. And today, in this fine hour, we're going to be interviewing Mitch Narito, who is a lovely, hello, there he is.
What's
a lovely
up,
actor,
dude?
and who we've had on our PanGeekery podcast previously and who we regularly game with. So let's get started, shall we? How are you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing good. Just trying to beat the heat right now. But
Oh, dude, for reals.
Yeah.
You know, like temperature's starting to drop, so it's getting a little more comfortable around here. How about you guys? What's going on?
Just chilling, dude.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Anyway, so Mitch, you are Filipino American.
Yep.
How do you know anybody that is working as an essential worker right now?
Yeah, I've got like most of my family is from a medical background, so there's a lot of nurses.
Right.
I have like a ton of aunts and uncles. Like some of my best friends are nurses, and they're working. One of them is actually doing like the on-site COVID testing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a trip because he has little kids, and pretty much like he had to send his family off to Las Vegas to stay with relatives because he just doesn't want to expose them.
I've heard a lot of like frontline like healthcare workers having to do something like that. Like they'll isolate themselves in the hotel while they're working, you know, for that that period while they're like on the front lines, and then they'll go back to their family afterwards. Like, you know, it's kind of it's a crazy thought, really.
Yeah. I mean, that just like gave me a flashback to a video I saw at the start of COVID of this like male nurse coming home and his child wants to hug him, but he's just like, no.
Oh yeah,
that was so sad.
It's heartbreaking.
So freaking sad. But they're the real unsung heroes, or I mean, somewhat sung, but partially unsung.
Semi-sung.
Semi-sung heroes of this time, for sure. So what have you been doing to like stay sane during this time?
I've been jumping around from a lot of different things, like to whatever like fits my fancy at that moment, you know, like
whichever
I guess
fits your fancy.
Yeah, you know,
your fancy feast. I don't know.
I think one of the constants is video games. I've been playing a ton of video games.
Nice.
Like I've just been going through. Right now, I'm on a lot of Apex and Overwatch.
Apex?
Yeah, on PS4. I just beat The Last of Us 2.
Nice.
I did too! Oh my god.
Jen, you have somebody to commiserate with.
Oh my god, it's so depressing. Like,
oh my god.
That's like one game where like I beat it and I didn't really feel fulfilled. You know, like I was just like,
exactly.
I was like, oh god, this is so painful to watch. Like it's so like without giving stuff away, like I don't know, like I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but oh man, like at the end of it, I was just like, they were like New Game Plus, and I was like, oh no.
Am I ready for this?
I'm not gonna do that.
I'm good on that.
Yeah. Well, I actually was forced to start a New Game Plus because I got raided right at the end of as I finished the game.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
Wait, it was the one that did it? No. Did you get raided after I raided you?
After you raided me, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was Tryhouse rated with like 90 something viewers. It was
okay, because I saw it and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, it looks like she's towards the end, or what would be an end. So
not stop there.
Yeah.
It was like an hour or two after that. But yeah, I agree with you, Mitch, that the ending of Last of Us 2 is, I'm like, without giving away spoilers, because I am, definitely a blab, but like, I think it's meant to be unfulfilling, right? I mean, like, isn't that like the message that they're going for?
Yeah, it's supposed to be bleak, you know, like it's supposed to be. No, it's supposed like it's honestly like it's so depressing, like.
Yeah.
Like right from the get-go, you know, you're like, oh, dude, everything is messed up. You know, like everything
is messed up.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like genius marketing or not, but like releasing something like that in the midst of a pandemic, like I don't know if it like heightens everything, or if everybody's just tired of that kind of story. I don't know, or of living that kind of story.
No, that's why like during this pandemic, like playing that game, it hit a little harder, and I was just like, oh god. So like after I beat that, like I downloaded Fall Guys, and that's been like that's been a little more.
That's been
we gotta play together, because I just downloaded Fall Guys too.
Fall Guys, it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's frustrating though.
It is. It is. Video games are definitely like a good like outlet, I think, just because, you know, they're longer than like a movie or a series could possibly be, but also, I mean, if you're like a gamer, you can sink yourself into a game for like hours without even really knowing.
I mean, I actually feel like, you know, things like Last of Us, I don't know if I can speak for you, Mitch, but like the second game affected me so deeply emotionally, I think, because of what you're saying, Earl, which is that you invest yourself in it, right? Like you become the agent of change, and everything that happens is your responsibility, and like you did that,
right?
You know, whatever suffering you cause to others in the game or to yourself, you brought upon yourself. You know what I mean? It's
you're not innocent in this, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's like a meta reflection on like what the game developers are trying to teach you, and in this case, Naughty Dog. Freaking.
I mean, I just finished Detroit Become Human for the first time.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Which ending did you get?
Oh, I did not get a good one. I got a bad one. Even like everybody in my chat was like, "Oh, I don't think he's gonna get the post credits ending." And I was like, "Oh man,
it's hard, man. You got to do like a lot of stuff to get those the really good ending."
I know.
I cheated. I looked at the walkthroughs because I wanted.
Yeah, Jen said she looked at the walkthroughs.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose anybody.
Dude, before Last of Us, I sunk like 160 something hours into Persona 5.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because I didn't know there was multiple endings, because that was the first that was the first Persona title I ever played. And then like I was looking it up, and people were like, "Oh, did you get the good ending?" I was like, "What good ending?" Like,
no, I have to go back.
Yeah. Wait, so what's your favorite game of all time, Mitch?
Oh, wow. Okay, let's see. Of all time? I think one of my favorite games, just because like it's associated with a lot of good memories with my friends, was Ultimate Alliance.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a good one.
Because like I'm a big comic book guy, and like getting to play as like some of my favorites, that was fun. And then like me and my friends, like you know, we all get drunk and then like just play through, like 4 of us, you know, like it was really fun.
Dude, that's a good game. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It's good. Wait, so you're a fan of Marvel. Who's your favorite Marvel superhero?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yeah,
definitely. Which Spider-Man?
I'm like an OG Peter Parker kind of guy.
Oh.
Like 90s Spider-Man, or like
like whatever yeah, like 80s, 90s, like, you know, like when the animated series was out, like I was
Spectacular Spider-Man. That was a good animated series. Yeah,
it was.
Spider-Blood, radioactive Spider-Blood. That thing.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like he's like, he was always like one of my favorites, because like he was a nerd. Right. He was a geek, you know, like kind of like a misfit, but then like.
But he was a wise ass.
Yeah, that's what I loved about him. He always like would make jokes, you know. And
yeah.
Like I saw a lot of myself in that. So.
Yeah. So Mitch, I know we're all creatives on this call right now. Have you been doing anything creatively just to keep yourself occupied over a pandemic?
Oh yeah, I've been really fortunate that a lot of people off Twitter have reached out and asked me to like participate in stuff.
Oh, that's great.
I do like a weekly reading. It's called Brunch with the Bard. It's every Sunday with a bunch of voice actors, and there's like the people I work with are voice actors from a ton of video games like Fire Emblem.
Nice.
like 2 weeks ago, I got to meet Allegra Clark. She's the voice of like Bloodhound and Apex, and she does.
Oh, cool!
Wow,
nice.
So yeah, and like so I get to do that with them, and I just get to play around. So I get to do that every Sunday.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah.
And then other people, I joined this one sketch comedy group. They're doing like a Zoom-based web series. It's called No Shoes Allowed.
Are they Asian?
Yeah, they're all Asian.
Very nice title.
My sketch troupe was literally about to be called that like in 10 years ago.
Yeah. So like I've been doing that stuff. And then like I'm still doing acting classes. Like,
oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm just
through Zoom.
Yeah, through Zoom. Like, like it's good prep because I know like a lot of the auditions and whatnot now are not going to be in person. If
right.
Can help it. So,
a lot of self-taping these days.
Yeah, so like it's a big help, and like I get to see like, you know, my friends, like even though I get to be with them in person, like it's still like catch up with them, so it's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my god. Well, I mean, are you gonna be performing anything with the sketch comedy group soonish?
We shot a couple episodes. You can find them on YouTube. They're No Shoes Allowed Comedy.
Nice.
Yay!
I'm in the last 2 episodes of the season, and the season finale comes out this Tuesday.
Oh, cool, man. That's good to hear, dude.
Let's plug that so that everybody can see all your sketch stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? What's the name of the? It's No Shoes Allowed.
Yeah, No Shoes Allowed Comedy, and then the title of the web series is called Homework.
Got it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like comedy ready to happen.
Gosh, that's one thing I don't miss about school is homework.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you torn about homework?
I was a bad student, man.
Oh.
Like, I understood stuff, but I just hated doing work, you know? Like,
right.
I just read this thing more recently about like, you know, maybe we should rethink how we educate people because like instead of saying like, oh yeah, like you failed at this test so you're going to get a failing grade, like let students retake things so that they actually learn how to take failures in stride and also like not give up afterwards, you know? And I think that would have like helped a lot because I think post-college I started to hate reading. I used to love reading.
Right.
Now I can't read a book to save my life.
I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but what is your favorite Filipino dish?
My favorite Filipino dish, like I love any of like the tomato-based Filipino dishes, like mechado, menudo, afritada. I actually made some mechado today. Like
nice.
I spent like 4 hours like just like stewing it all together. Came out pretty good. And like it's one of the things like I like to do now during the pandemic. Like I've been cooking a lot more, just trying to get better at it because what else am I gonna do?
Did you not cook a lot before pandemic?
No, actually, like I was really bad at eating out. Like, and it's kind of a blessing too because now I have a little more money because I'm not spending so much on food outside.
Right.
But yeah, like because it was just easier just to pick up stuff on the go, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What are the things? Sorry, go ahead.
Especially like when the industry is like up and rolling, you almost have no time to do anything really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are some dishes that you've made so far that you're really proud of?
I've been doing a lot of like simple Filipino stuff. Like nice. I made the mechado. I make a pretty good beef steak.
Wow.
I saw that that Instagram story. It looked pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did that. Like I watched Birds of Prey recently.
Nice.
And you know how like she wants that egg sandwich?
Dude, that is the best looking egg sandwich ever.
Yes. So I made that, you know, like I was like, that looks completely doable, you know, like I was like, let me do that.
Doable.
So like I just picked up all the ingredients and I was like, oh man, this is money, you know, like
that's dope, dude.
Oh, it's so good.
I had never been so sad about an egg sandwich before.
I know,
right?
It was very sad.
It looked so good in the movie. It just made it look perfect.
It looks like trash diner food that it just hits the spot, you know?
Oh God.
It's like one of those
good.
like late night diner trash food.
Dude, those greasy spoons are what I live for, man. Like any of those burger spots, you know, like I don't like a burger that's too clean, you know, like
no, that's sacrilege.
Yeah.
Gosh, I miss burgers. I haven't had a burger like at it from a place in a while.
Why not? You can get one. The places are there.
That's true, I guess. I'm pretty close to one.
Go forth! Go forth and get
Sally
a burger.
forth, young squire, and bring back a burger.
Race that steed into the sunset with a burger.
Put some bacon avocado on it.
Dude, bacon avocado. That sounds for real.
California, after all. What have we been doing to, like, better ourselves as citizens during this time when we feel so useless? Like, what is one thing you've done to, like, enrich yourself, I guess?
Oh, man, that's tough. Well, like, I went back to teaching.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So I'm teaching ESL to adults remotely.
Right.
And it's just, you know, like just reaching out to my students and giving them a skill that they can use to try to make their situations better.
Yeah.
Is something that I always try to keep up.
Nice.
But, you know, like every so often, like I reach out to someone I haven't talked to in a while, like just because it's really easy to become like, you know, isolated and you get stuck in your own bubble. Like, even if it's just for like a quick phone call, like 5 minutes or whatever, just call someone and be like, hey man, just thinking about you, you know, haven't seen you in a while, just seeing how you're doing, you know, like, just reminding people that, you know, like there are still people out there that, you know, do care, like what goes on in their lives.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's like essential in these days. So, you know.
Yeah. Have you done like socially distanced hangouts?
Yeah, I went to my wife's like best friend's place, like for a meal, and it was just my wife and I, and then her friend and her family. Like it was just like like all in total it was like 5 of us. So we just went over there, like kept our distance, you know. With my neighbors, we like do like backyard barbecues because they got a grill, so it's just like me and my two neighbors, like we'll just throw some meat on the grill and you know, have a couple drinks and whatnot, you know, like stuff like that. Cool. Like it just, you know, it just, like all this stuff just makes me realize how much I took for granted before.
Right.
Like, you know, like like Korean barbecue for what?
Oh,
you know,
man. Korean barbecue is like back here, and it's just like this thing. It's this unspoken goal at the end of this entire thing. And I know there are places that are doing it still, but I don't know if I feel safe.
No, they're a bad idea if they're still doing it right now. Yeah.
Anything, Mitch, anything that you wanted to say to the folks out there watching about COVID, about supporting the community and all that stuff?
Well, first off, wear a mask. Like, I know not everybody is doing that still because I go out every so often and not everybody is wearing a mask. So, you know, like it may be a hassle, but dude, just put up with it for a couple weeks and like we can get this stuff under control. I want to say thank you to all the essential workers, like anyone, like including like hospital and medical staff, but like anyone that's working in a restaurant, anyone that's like, you know, just out there, like doing what they're supposed, like delivery people, like, I really appreciate all the work that they're doing. And, you know, like if you guys are feeling down, there's always something you can find that will, you know, pick you back up. Just find what you're into and, you know, like lean into it.
How's it going? Well, Mitch, thank you so much for joining us here on the PanGeekery portion of Strengthen Community.
Yeah, you're
thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. It's been an awesome talk, but thank you. Thank you, Jen, for
how you doing, Mr. Voice?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, thank you, Earl.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. See you soon. Are we live? Do try to donate to strengthen community. All the funds are going to very worthy causes.
So I was scrambling between my PC and laptop.
Need some kind of financial support during.
How's it going?
What's up, everybody?
So all that stuff community is going
to very good places. Thanks for watching that segment with Mr. Mitch Narito. You might recognize him from The Good Place as Donkey Dog. Yup. We are actually here. My name is Earl Bale, and I'm an actor improviser based in Los Angeles, California. I am one part of the PanGeekery host team, and this is
Caitlin Fay. I'm an actor, writer, singer, and musician, and I am also one part of the PanGeekery host team.
And we have our guest here today for Strength in Community, Mr. Whilce Portacio. Y'all might know him from some awesome ass titles from now, and I mean I could list a lot of stuff. Wetworks, X-Men, Spawn, tons of stuff. Iron Man, yeah. But how's it going, Whilce? How are you?
Hey, thanks for inviting me. This is pretty cool. I've been for years trying to get in touch with the Filipino community, and here you guys all are. You guys have been hiding from me.
We were waiting for you. We were waiting for you to find us, and we're so happy.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, what a nice day.
Happy Saturday, y'all.
I know. Happy Saturday.
So, Whilce, where are you right now? Where are you logging in from in the universe?
I'm from the Inland Empire.
Oh wow.
Okay, i.e.
that 909 style.
Yeah, just over the LA hills.
Nice.
Cool.
Had to get away from the traffic.
Yeah, I know. I'm so jealous sometimes. I'm in the valley, and it's still still pretty nuts out there.
I have a lot of friends who were at Marvel and then moved to DC, and then DC then moved from New York to LA, and the move took like over a year because, as you guys know, the Burbank traffic is like crazy.
It's insane.
Oh yeah.
You have to live there, right? You if you live outside, it's like it's murder.
Yeah. It was nice for a hot second during the pandemic. But apparently people don't care anymore. So the traffic has resumed. Yeah. The traffic has resumed.
Rush hour is a thing all of a sudden again. It's weird.
Yeah. For those of you who don't live in LA.
I know. There are certain times.
Be grateful.
Well, at least for that part.
Yeah, for that part.
So Whilce, how has pandemic been treating you?
Well, I'm sorry to say my answer is not very exciting because
it's okay.
This is my life.
We like not exciting in terms of
we like boring
destruction. Yeah.
but
this is a nerd podcast. Sorry.
You guys remember in the beginning of the pandemic, there was that meme that for some people this is your life and you're boring. Well, this is my life. I mean,
don't say that.
I mean, seriously, there are some years where I don't get out of the house unless I'm being flown to a convention or something.
Right.
You're saying your life has barely changed this year since the pandemic.
Actually, I do have to be grateful that my kids are now forced to be with me again now.
Aw, that's nice.
So it's really cool for long conversations and food prep night and everything.
How old are your kids?
I got one finishing up high school, one second year college, and another one young adult after college.
Nice.
Oh, so they're big.
Yeah,
you get to have adult conversations with.
Yeah, no, seriously,
I want a conversation with my dad.
That's the best thing. I mean, especially my college kid and now my high school kid, it's great for me keeping in touch with quote unquote the millennia generation and what's happening right now. Because I'm an old fogey. I mean, I'm 57 right now, so I'm in like the Brad Pitt, George Clooney generation.
I can't believe they're like that old. It's crazy to me that they're not that's like
it's called Botox and lots of money.
It's all right.
So.
It's okay.
You look great. 57.
Yeah,
I want to look good at 57.
We're going to be looking somewhat like this until
Hopefully,
60 something. So
well, it's in our
less
genes.
hair.
Yeah,
right,
I know.
Exactly.
I think it's the rice.
I would like to believe it's the rice.
Melanin.
No,
that
it's the
protects us from the
lechon.
sun.
It's the lechon.
Oh.
It's the lechon. Oh. I was just having this conversation yesterday about Filipino food and how I haven't had tons of it since pandemic because I would have to cook it myself or go to the market, but I kind of don't want to do that. So, but
anyway, that's what I miss about Manila, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody delivers. I mean, even before the pandemic, right? You seen all those scooters going around delivering guys?
Yeah. Wait, so remind me, you were born here, right? You're not from
Quezon, right?
My dad was in the U.S. Navy, so we're Caviteño. So I was born at Sangley Point, Cavite, where my parents are from. And when I was 2 years old, I came over here. Okay. So I'm 57, so I've been here for 55 years now.
Okay.
Wow.
So he's 1.5 generation. That's
what
it's
1.5 is
you get
almost.
It before 18.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
That is correct.
Well,
I'm still a public buy-in by definition.
Right. But you're a staple of American culture now, so.
Absolutely. Come on. And your family, you all ended up in San Diego, for the long term, right?
Yeah. One thing that maybe some people don't know, me being a Navy brat,
right.
In the 60s, when my father joined up, he could only be a cook, so they were put in certain groups or divisions. Towards the 70s, and they started opening that up. But what happened along the way was that almost all of the Filipinos stayed together.
Right.
So when we moved to Midway Island, we went there with my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. And then when we moved LA or San Diego, they moved too. When we moved to Hawaii, they moved too. So it was kind of like a caravan of Pinoy people, and so we were able to stay together.
That's great.
Very cool.
Arnold busting out in the chat says, "Damn, Whilce looks good." And Phil Creative says, "Whilce is goals."
Ooh. Goals. That's millennial talk for looking good.
Yeah.
People want to be you.
So, Whilce, have you been doing a lot of creative work over pandemic, in terms of your art and all that, writing?
Well, the comics world got hit too, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. All this time alone, and this goes for everybody, is a time of introspection. So thinking about stuff. And for years and years, with a good friend of mine, Rafael Kayanan, we've been trying to figure out how to do a Filipino hero story with a lot of the culture and a lot of the information, because Rafael knows almost everything about ancient culture. And as a creative, I think that's one of the aspects of our culture that hasn't really been brought out a lot. And so for ages, we've been thinking about it. But now that the pandemic is here, now we've actually started on that. We've started a pre-prod on that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
One of the impetus was that, this is not a great time in the world, but it is a major point in the world. I mean, those times in our history as man where everybody, the whole world, every country was affected exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that for me, who studies people in order to do stories, is that you could see how different countries and different cultures react to the exact same condition. So without naming names, we could see that there are certain countries where they don't react the way they should. They react the way they want to.
Right.
You get my point?
Yeah.
If you study history, whenever a big thing like World War II or other pandemics happened, you got out of it by doing what was hard, meaning you're doing what you had to do. Mm-hmm. And it's just fun, interesting for me watching the Philippines on, social networks and watching my chef friends every day preparing food for hospitals and frontliners, watching my other professional friends, making meals and drives for people on near their barangay or in other streets across near them, or for the security guard in their building, or and seeing how Filipinos here and there step up to do what they're supposed to do, but to step up and do what they're supposed to do, what's needed, and Filipinos will understand this, still laugh and still make horrible jokes, we get serious, we think about serious things, we do serious things, but we kind of like to go through life as, hey, there's going to be another day, and so all that has really then when you're coming up with a story, you're trying to figure out what's the real hook, what's the real theme. And so now Rafael and I have latched onto connection.
Okay, you're right.
The way I put it real quickly to end this is that where you have countries, my theory, where you have countries where people are not connected, have very few friends that they talk to and connect all the time with. When a pandemic like this happens, odds are you might not know somebody in the medical field or in local government or in other frontliners. And so you don't get that information to hopefully maybe calm you down a little bit, or at least just to get some information. But if you're like Filipino like us, where you're connected to your family, your extended family, to your friends, to your high school friends, your college friends, everyday other job friends, your uncles and aunties who aren't your real uncles and aunties. So odds are you're going to have somebody who's in healthcare, in local government, a cop or somebody, and you're going to be able to ask them. And so I think that's one of the reasons why, like, the Philippines in general has handled this with coolness, let's say. And other countries are like scared and going crazy,
This is like par for the course. It's just another roadblock.
Is that to say that you're currently working on a new project dealing with Filipinos and connection, or are you just teasing us?
I know.
Actually, yeah, I'm working on my next actual comic book project. I was taking a little break.
Do tell.
With movie back home, but now I want to. The great thing about comics is, as you guys probably know, like movies and games and animation, it costs too much. Production
I know.
It's so much money.
That's why I'm poor. Come on, guys.
Like, even the smallest project is
like it'll kill your bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, one of the creative hits you get there is that it's not always, actually almost all the time, it's not the property or the IP that is really well written. It's who that person knows, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, what?
I'm being super salty right now.
Nepotism, that doesn't exist.
But see, comics, on the other hand, is just pencil and paper, And so you can get stories out there really quickly. And so, like I said, this is a story that I've been wanting to write for a long time and wanting to draw for a long time.
Okay.
And finally, it's all connecting. And so I can go to different avenues, but as you guys all know, it'll take too long. And even if it does happen, 5 years from now, for 5 years, I got to keep shut about, all these thoughts in my head.
Right.
And so now is the time to, put it all down. And yeah, it's going to be a Filipino thing in the Philippines.
Nice.
And it's going to be metaphorical in that everything that I told you about how my opinion on how like Filipinos have dealt with the pandemic. I'm going to
specifically about
that
the pandemic
into a superhero world where the villain is the metaphorical virus.
Right.
and all of the pipelines and procedures that we're all using in both sides, on the pandemic side, the virus itself, and also on the frontliner side, we're working that into the model. In fact, I could say that my main hero is actually going to be a frontliner. But
interesting.
But we're going to use the Philippine. What I hope to be able to do is show people that Filipinos are connected, and that's if I can rant a little bit. There's
go for it, please.
You know, I've been over 30 years. I've been working in American superhero comics. Okay,
right.
Like I said, I grew up in the United States. I've been here for 55 years studying Americana, studying the West, studying our history. I didn't speak Tagalog until 15 years ago.
Really?
You know, and I could barely understand it.
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Nice.
Oh, you know, I'm to the point where, you know, like, what do you call that? Where, you know, you're talking to somebody with an accent and all of a sudden you put on that accent.
Oh, okay, I've done that. When I spent time in the Philippines, started talking like this. Yeah,
I do that all the time, and I actually love that.
No, that's great. That's great. I love that.
No, you know, in fact, one thing, you know, just to do on another little rant, there was
absolutely.
There was a bit of time in showbiz films in the Philippines, where even up to recently, you know, they would push the American accent and try to erase, quote unquote, the Tagalog accent. So somebody would say, you know, like, pupunta tayo sa ano sa Baguio, you know.
Oh my gosh, you speak Tagalog.
And then,
did you understand that, Caitlin?
Wait, say it again.
Punta tayo sa Baguio.
Are you going to Baguio?
Or we're going to Baguio.
Close it up.
Okay. So a character would say that in a movie, and then the American character next to him would say, "What'd you say?" I said, let's go to Baguio.
Let's go to Baguio.
Yeah, you know, and if you've spent any time, and every year I go back to Manila. You go back to Manila, and we've got this Manila accent.
I've heard this Manila accent.
So. Yeah, and it's not the it's not the, you know, the quote unquote what we know over here as the fob accent.
Right.
It's this rich people's accent. It's the middle class accent.
Like the super posh ones.
Yeah. No, it's very much like how, you know, the Singapore accent is now getting popular.
Educated,
yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to start pushing, the Manila accent, so that it's, you know, like, hey, this is, you know, this is the Philippines.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, for you guys, I guess you guys know that, you know, like if anybody gets like small bits, you know, on Hollywood over here, you got to put on the fob accent.
Well, we're trying to change that.
This
I don't want to do a fob accent.
People still get accent. Well, the positive.
Do you get that? People say do it.
Well, I was gonna say the positive is that like nobody can tell what I am really, so I never get asked that.
Doesn't matter.
I don't get caught. I literally the other day I got called in to do a Korean accent, and I was like, I don't have a Korean.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
You? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 한국말 잘 못합니다.
Anyways, so sorry, super quick. Whilce, where did you learn Tagalog? Because I'm really fascinated. I want to learn Tagalog. Did you just go to the Philippines and you picked it up, or?
Yeah. After not being able to understand it at all,
you just got
not
mad.
speaking it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, but in 1995, way after him, well, in the midst of the big image push, I kind of took a break from comics. And so I went back to the Philippines in my mind for a couple weeks, just to take a break, just to get away from it all. And I mean, it got so bad that, you know, like over here, I get invited to a real good friend of mine's funeral, well, her mom's funeral. And as I'm driving into the parking lot, kids are like chasing my car.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in the Philippine community, it really got out who I was. And so I got into that weird thing where I would be talking to people or people that I meet, and not knowing if they're actually talking to me or talking to who they think I am.
Right.
You know?
You're talking to your image or your image they have of you in your head.
So I went home in 95 for about a couple weeks. And fortunately I actually went to high school for 2 years. I mean, in the 80s. And so all my friends now were like art directors in advertising and stuff. And so I still had friends to actually meet up with. So I wasn't just there, you know, whoa, what's Manila? What's this? And then again, knock on wood, I had a good friend who I helped his son become a comic book artist. He lent me his condo, you know.
Wow.
So,
I'll lend you my condo.
I know.
Whilce.
One day, once I acquire it.
Oh, but you know what a big culture shock that was for me? I mean, not knowing anything about the Philippines, and I'm thinking I'm going back to the Philippines and it's going to be like, okay, it's not going to be the United States. And I go there and then I see all this stuff. And then I'm driven to my condo. And I go up into it on the 25th floor. I go into the building and then there's security guard. I've got to check in. And then I go up to the 25th floor. And it turns out it's this condo building where there are only 4 units on each floor.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You know, so it's like,
huge,
whoa,
like,
this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
And
then I look out the window and there's Mega Mall right in front of me and San Miguel. You know, and so it introduced me to that, what I knew from watching news and TV over here was not what it really was. And that really then pushed me to really, really then find out what it was really like. And so I started doing, so the comic book store started finding out I was there, and Showbiz started finding out I was there. So we started get invited to events and stuff like the Star Awards, which is basically the Academy Awards there. So I went there and met a lot of people. And then I did a signing in Galleria, one of the big malls there. And there was this lady, okay, you know, you're at your tables, and in this instance, to my left, there was this long line of people waiting to get their comic book signed by me. And to the right, there was this lady just leaning against the other tables, ignoring me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then and then after a couple hours, the line's gone, and she's still there, just ignoring me, you know? And then I finally go up to her, and to make a long story short, she became my wife.
What? Whoa! Did you see that turn coming?
I know. Did not see that turn at all.
She's the reason I got invited to the Star Wars, because she's actually a big publicist back home.
Oh, got
it. She handled, like, I don't know if your audience will know, but like she used to handle Gary Valenciano and Sharon Cuneta.
So did you marry her because she ignored you? Is that how that works?
Oh, think about my setup for going to the Philippines, where everybody is like paying attention to me and saying, "Oh, you're this other person here."
This person
She's
is
the
intriguing.
first one that actually, like, you know, treated me like I'm just a, you know. In fact, for the first 2 years, I became her driver.
What?
Oh.
Well, she had a TV show at the time too.
So I would hear the full saga? What's going on?
I know.
I would drive her.
You need to write this story.
Yeah,
Whilce.
this is your story, Whilce.
Yeah.
Forget connection in the pandemic.
Wait till you hear about.
I want a love story.
But see, I used to drive her to, like, you know, her dressmaker, so that she put her on her new dress there for the week on, and then I drive her to her makeup people. They put the makeup on. Then I drive her to the studio, and then I chit chat with, like, you know, stars in the back, you know, in the green room while she's on stage. And so I then became like the translator, because in the 90s was a time when they started inviting American actors and bands over to the Philippines.
Right.
And so whenever she would have a foreign guest over, American, I would be like the bodyguard translator.
Got it.
So you spoke Tagalog already by that time, or you were learning?
No,
like trial by fire.
Just like the Americanisms, trying to translate
on
them.
job.
Well, also, you probably don't know this then. Earl might know this. There's a phrase commonly used in the Philippines called, I'm not sure if I got the conjugation right, but inubos ko na yung English ko.
All I got was my English at the end.
That person is saying, my allotment of English words has just run out. I don't know what to say anymore.
That's cute. I like that.
So that's kind of like an excuse or an invitation to somebody else who can speak English more. And so I was always put in that role.
Right.
So my 2 weeks turned into 5 years.
Oh my God.
At which point you got married.
Yeah.
I hear the rest of the story, but all right. But in the interest of time, that's great. So over that, so you learned Tagalog in that time as you were a translator.
Ubus na English ko, says Joseph Oporto in the chat. Sorry, what was that again? Sorry,
Yeah. There's nothing like actually hearing the accent, and I mean to this day there are actually a lot of words and phrases that I understand from Tagalog, which I can't actually translate into English.
A lot of stuff doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
you know what? You know what my favorite word is?
Yeah.
My favorite word, and which I try to put into all the creative stuff I'm doing right now, is pakikisama.
Pakikisama. You were telling us about this on.
Dirty. What does that mean?
It's not.
Pakikisama.
Pakiki. But it's because it sounds like it's. If you.
What does it mean?
Yeah. Go. I'm gonna refrain from.
Well, very loosely, it's like paki, which is kind of a conjugation of please.
Like please.
And sama, which is together. So please be together. Okay? Now, if you try to just quickly translate it in English and you're trying to like explain it to you, it's basically kind of suck up, you know?
But how does please together turn into suck up?
Well, it's no matter what the situation is, you've got to be. I mean, the way kids like experience it is, okay, your uncle's here, and I know you don't like him because he's a bastard, but be nice to him and spend all the time with him, okay? But see, when my kids, when they were 12 and 14, the born and raised here, so totally American. I mean, their knowledge of Tagalog was, my 14-year-old had this list of 20 words that he carried around with him. Okay, that's as far as
probably more than I know. Yeah.
So, anyways, when they went back for the first time in 2013, they were then instantly surrounded by 16 cousins who were college age. Now, imagine the reverse of that, right? Imagine I'm from the Philippines and my 12 and 14-year-old come over here, and I tried to tell my balikbayan, kids, pakikisama, you have to spend your time with this 12-year-old. What's your response going to be?
As a teenager, you're going to be like, hell no.
Right.
I don't want to do that. Ayoko.
But see, my kids, 12 and 13, my 12-year-old, God bless her, when we came back to the U.S., she cried for 3 nights in a row.
She missed her cousins?
Yeah. I had to put her to sleep every night, and on the third night I asked her, babe, what's wrong? Why were you crying? And she goes, get this, her exact words, I never knew there was a place where people were actually nice.
Whoa.
And what she meant was her 16 cousins taking their time, not to do their duty, but to just be with her.
Yeah.
Right.
You know those moments where nothing is happening, you're not anywhere, you're just hanging out, and maybe nobody's even saying anything.
Yeah.
That comfort that person is always there. All these people are always there. Yeah. And so that's pakikisama. That's, let me put it another way, in an American way. In America, for the last decade or so, we've had this thing of, okay, respect is what we give, right? So when we meet a stranger, that stranger has to prove that they deserve my respect. So I'm going to withhold my respect before I give them my full respect.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, in pakikisama, it's the other way around. You give your respect instantly, and then if they prove that they don't deserve your respect, then you could take it away. Now, think of it in reality. If everybody is reserving their respect for strangers, what kind of environment are you living in?
Right.
You're living in a disrespectful environment.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Exactly.
Where it's the other way around, innocent until proven guilty.
It's a very tense society.
Yeah.
So you live kind of in this where negative is always present, or you always think it is, because the positive side isn't up front.
Yeah.
But in Pakikisama in the Philippines, it's always there. Right. So that's why you can go on YouTube right now and you could find Russian people, Australians, New Zealand people, British people, American people. Not only are they in the Philippines and visited and are vlogging there, they're now living there. And the reason they all give is the exact same thing. They just like everyday living in this positive environment.
Because people are nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's so funny. Last time I went to the Philippines, I was coming back to the US and there was like a layover in Hawaii. And I was going through TSA, and the way people were roughly handling me and speaking to me, I realized I'm not in the Philippines anymore. I would have gone 10 mamsers by now, you know? Everyone's really very hospitable, right? And that's just the protocol there. It's very polite.
Think about this too. When I went back to the Philippines the first time after college, like I said, a lot of my my high school friends were now art directors. And so I was invited into a couple editing sessions to help them edit it, because they got these new SGI systems and we're playing around with
Silicon graphics. I haven't heard that in forever.
What's that?
It's what they used to make movies on back in the day.
I wasn't born yet.
And the protocol, you'd hate the protocol because they're so expensive.
Right, very.
They actually had to hire an operator. And even if you knew how to use a system, you could not touch the system. You had to tell the operator what to do, and he had to do it. Because if that thing ever broke, it would be the operator's fault and not yours.
Right.
Liability.
So anyways, think about this stuff. So here I am working with my director friend and his team, and we're working till like 4 o'clock in the morning, putting this roller coaster commercial together, and it's finally finished, and the producer comes in and approves it. And so it's break time. Yeah. And so the boss guy is in there, the director, my friend, and there's like this, you know, Mari, he's my friend. Then there's one of his teammates. She goes, Kuya, Mario, Kuya, punta tayo sa Tapaking, mag-breakfast tayo. And so translated, that's, you know,
I think I got that.
Okay, but see, so imagine we're here in the United States, working on a video till 4 in the morning, and you turn around to your boss and you go, you know, and you're female and your boss is male, and you turn around and you say, hey, I don't know what the equivalent over here be, but you know, you say an honor, endearment, right?
Yeah.
You don't call him by his name or boss, right? Yeah. And you say, let's go out for breakfast. Everybody's turning around thinking something else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In the Philippines, it's just the way you address your boss.
Right.
It's just the
Isn't it boss? You don't call them boss? Bossing? Bossing?
Yeah, it's giving respect. You know, it doesn't mean what we think what it would mean to us over here. So it's just interesting that there are just these differences, East and West. And every time I go back to the Philippines, I break down one of those things, and I find there's a different way. There's a different way. It may not be the perfect way, but you know, getting out of this box of this is the only way.
It's definitely a different way of operating, I'd say. I do want to ask this really quick. Like, there's like, especially in the comic book world, there's been a lot of Filipino and Filipino American stories just popping up. We're talking about like Wave, 13 is coming here.
Yeah.
Somebody on this call is also writing something.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm working with an all-female, all-Asian collective working on our first graphic novel series, which is it's about a Filipina teenage superheroine, and it's dark urban fantasy that's based off of Philippine mythology. So when I'm rich and have my condo, you're more than welcome to promote me to the echelons of the comic book world.
Actually, seriously, I'd love to be able to talk to you about it.
Really? I'd love to talk to you about it. Wait, are you serious?
No, seriously, because I don't know if you've ever entertained this thought real quickly. I've entertained this thought, but in my travels in the last, back and forth from the Philippines to here, so from east to west, one of the things that, whenever I go back to the Philippines, Showbiz is always trying to get me to do Filipino superheroes. But unfortunately, a lot of them just want me to bring Avengers and put Tagalog names on.
Right.
Now, I as a creative can't do that. I have to make the world fit this superhero that I'm building. Okay, and so one of the differences that I found out was that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but even with a Superman, when Clark Kent becomes Superman, he goes to Metropolis, he's all of a sudden the American mold where he's Superman. He's on his pedestal. All of a sudden, there's no more Ma and Pa Kent. There's no more even Super Dog. It's this rock and roll syndrome thing that we have here, where when you become famous, you're now alone, and this is just your achievement, and you're not connected to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Now, so imagine if a Filipino Superman or Wonder Woman or anybody, and them trying to disconnect from their family.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Mom is going to remember when you pooed in your pants in the second grade.
Right. And she'll bring it up still. So.
On live air.
On live air. I know.
So there's no hiding. There's no, I mean, you can even see that with a lot of the big superstar actors in the Philippines. They can't get away from that. And so I think that would be part of the interesting part of some of the backstory and how to, I mean, I don't know who your character is, but if, let's say your character was Balikbayan, and then so that Balikbayan would have that impulse that, hey, I'm now me. I'm now,
Right. That individualism.
It kind of is. The main character in the very beginning, she goes to the Philippines for the first time because of her great-grandmother's funeral. And she ends up attending an international school in the Philippines, this swanky private or international type private school. And it's kind of a shock to her because this is her first time where she's fully immersed in the culture. And it turns out her dead grandmother actually has ties to, let's say, the supernatural. So chaos ensues. And I think it's very important. We've been doing a ton of research into the mythos of the Philippines. And I mean, I'm not quite sure 100% what you're working on. I know it's about COVID and connectivity in Filipinos, but I'm sure there's just a wealth of information out there that really someone needs to glean from this and turn it into stories. Really fantastical, amazing stuff. We have our own pantheon of gods that is completely it's basically the Filipino equivalent of Zeus and Hera and all those other people.
And it's particular to each region. So each region has their own.
Their own one. Sorry, go ahead, Will.
I am so glad hearing you say those words.
It's me, Whilce. I'm doing it.
Whenever I'm with Filipino creatives here and there, that's my challenge to them, because that's all out there, but none of it yet is popularized. None of it yet is really condensed. So here's my challenge then.
We're trying our hardest to do it.
Will you be my sensei?
Well, no, really, yes. Because here's a creative challenge. Here's a creative challenge, because see, I could walk into a producer's office in Hollywood. Any of us could walk into a producer's office and explain to them Manananggal, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll get they'll get really excited, right? They'll get really excited and go, oh, wow, that's a great new, because they're always looking for the new riff, the new thing, right? In horror. So that's a new horror riff, right? But see, they're smart too. They're going to ask you then, as a creative, okay, so the manananggal, she
breaks apart and she eats her baby.
Right. You have to put salt on the wound to kill it.
Right. But see, so then why does she do that?
Right.
I don't know. Is there a deeper wait, let me guess.
No, it could be.
But see, that's my point.
It symbolizes something. Yeah.
Right.
No, but see, that's my point. That's my great challenge to you. Because when you don't have an answer for the producer for that, you can't go on with the story. Because then it's just a gimmick. It's just she splits to be horrific, you know.
Well, the main character.
So you got to come up with something.
She is the reincarnation of Halia, who is a Bicolano entity, who's a moon goddess, and that's where her powers are drawn from. Sorry, I'm going off now. But in the mythos, Halia actually. Have you heard? Bakunawa, the sea serpent who swallows the moon. That's the arch nemesis of Bakunawa, and she wears a pure golden mask, and she's a warrior goddess who fights Bakunawa every time he tries to swallow the moon. That's where the eclipse comes from. And my main character, she is the reincarnation of that, who's supposed to help save the world from the apocalypse. Boom. Okay, so are you with me, Whilce? Are you with me? Will you be my sensei? Because I'd love to talk to you about it. I can let my boss talk to you. Yeah.
No, seriously, because to not name names, but there is a big group of Filipino creatives that don't know anything about our history and our myth.
It's sad.
And so all they do is Americanize stuff, which is cool. Yeah. But I've been in the creative thing for a while now, and you get ahead of all the millions of other people trying to get in there at the same time. You get ahead by doing something different.
Yes.
And so there's also then another group of Filipino creatives that do know that stuff, but don't think that's cool.
Yeah.
And they're lost.
Well, it's their loss because
so
they're not going to get in on this.
So anytime I find somebody who's even anywhere in that lane,
it's me. I could show you artwork. I mean, we've got artists from the Philippines working on it. Our colorist, our line artist.
I might know them.
They're young. Well, we're trying to grow the team. Let's put it like that.
Because I had a school there for 3 years.
Wait, in Cebu?
No.
A few of them are from Cebu. Oh, okay. Do you know Catherine Lano? She's colored for I think DC. She does our cover art. And she lives in Cebu right now.
Okay, so Cebu.
Yeah. The other ones I don't think you know because they're kids. They're like 21.
Fortunately, a lot of my people are still there and still hold some positions there within that indie community.
Yeah, I work with, God rest their soul, ABS-CBN. Let's all say a prayer.
Right.
A moment of silence.
We've got to that.
We've got to move on.
We should have time to talk about that.
We should talk,
Yeah.
Well, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, right. No, they wanted to turn the thing into a series, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will talk about it off air.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got excited.
I'm getting a lot of stuff in my ears, so I have to.
sorry, guys.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to cut that short. Super exciting talk, but I just want to remind everybody while we have everybody here that this is a fundraiser. We are raising funds for COVID relief. There is an Eventbrite link that I will put in at least a Twitch chat. And we are raising funds to help people, feed people who are in need during this pandemic. PwC does have a program and they are spearheading this. So all the money that you do donate will go to this to help our fellow community members in Hi-Fi and hopefully further out beyond Hi-Fi's borders. Remember, pakikisama, right? Like
yes.
You said. And one more thing. There was something else I had hit.
And you forgot.
And real quick shout out to our sponsor, Papo J's Vodka, for helping us put this together. Thank you, Whilce. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. And
you're great.
I know we haven't worked personally on anything yet, but like I'm crossing fingers that we do at some point. So
Earl, I have a project in mind.
Oh, you do? Okay. So
hooking it up.
I know. But thank you so much. Once again, me and Caitlin are part of a host team for a podcast. We do a podcast called PanGeekery. PanGeekery, we talk about all diverse things from. I forgot the pitch. Oh my god!
It's all things geek from an all diverse perspective. Come on, Earl.
I say that once a week and I forget it all the time. But thank you everybody for joining us. What was that?
You're nervous because you're fanboying and because
I know I moved into actually it's nervous because I'm like hurry Earl, wrap it up. Okay, but yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll move on to our next section and let's toss it back to I think we're tossing it to somebody else. But thank you everybody. Thanks Caitlin. Thanks Whilce.
Bye. Thanks Earl and Whilce.
Have a good night.